Hello. Um, so things have gotten interesting. um, okay, to start off with, this is not a review per se of the current chapter of Shokugeki no Soma. It is more an overview of where the story is and where the fandom is right now. Because the fandom reaction has been really funny to me. It's been really hilarious, to be honest. Um, because for many reasons, which I will go into in depth probably. So this is a very long video. Just like all my videos, it's going to be really, really long. Yeah, but I will absolutely talk about the new chapter, obviously. I will go into depth about that as well, so, yeah, settle down, because there's a lot to say. Shit. So the current chapter, I knew that the person who snuck up behind Erina in the previous chapter was going to be a fake out. It was so obvious from the way that they were kind of drawn that it was just going to be a joke. But then the author, in true, like, I feel like this has kind of become a theme with this author, that he just kind of think things are gonna go one way, and then you get comfortable, and then he kind of pulls the rug out from under you. So he's like, oh, in the beginning of the chapter, you're like, oh, is she gonna get abducted? Because that's what everybody thought. They thought she was gonna get kidnapped, and I didn't think that. I was like, no, she's not. That's so stupid. Indeed she wasn't, and then she was. So it's like the author's constantly kind of trying to do twists, and it gets a little tiring because it's like, no, you shouldn't have done that twist. Stop twisting things, because sometimes you're trying to like surprise people, but sometimes predictability is predictable for a reason. It's just because that's what makes sense in the story, and if you do something wild, it's really not a good idea, because you're ruining your story in the process by trying to surprise people and just being ridiculous with it. So, but anyway, okay, so what I did like about this chapter was very much all the Soma and Erina stuff, obviously. So as I said, I did not expect Soma to have any feelings towards Erina in this arc. I felt like it was more so building in a foundation to kind of have Soma start thinking about Erina differently, but I didn't think he would actually, that this scene that happened in this chapter would ever happen right now at all, ever. In fact, I never thought it would happen. I felt like it would progress in a different way than this for Soma, on Soma's side. So I'm really happy, really happy, because it does make sense. It absolutely would. I don't feel like this was out of character at all, and I'm really glad about that. Because this is very a difficult balance because of the characters involved. So I will talk about, first of all, obviously, you had Asahi taunting, or like taunting Soma, saying that Erina's gonna go far away from him soon, that she's gonna leave him. And I originally, and I didn't talk about this because I was like, well, what if I'm wrong? And I was wrong. I'm like, well, maybe he's just basically saying cooking wise, because she's like ahead of him right now, like she's gonna leave him behind. Not literally that he's gonna take her away from him, but apparently no, literally he's gonna take her away from him. But yeah, I like this in more so in the way that it's making Soma think about, well, what if Erina's no longer there? Because Soma at this point really only did think of Erina basically as a rival, a friend, a friendly rival. He always thought of her as a friendly rival because he was oblivious. He didn't take any of her antagonistic, reactions towards him seriously. He did say, like, ages ago, like, oh, like, I usually get along fine with people, but you and me, Erina, like, you and me, Nakiru, we just don't. I don't know, like, I can't, it's so hard to talk to you. Because she hated him, that's why. Well, yeah, she hated him. So, that's why it was hard to talk to her. So, but he never had anything against Erina. Like, he was always very friendly towards her, and he always saw her as, like, just a friendly rival. Like, we're rivals. And that was always what was so fun about that relationship, because he never took Erina seriously. And now they are friendly rivals, but that's kind of, he just saw her as somebody to beat and somebody to um, kind of just impress, basically, because of how she said his food was disgusting, and she would not admit it's delicious, and he knows she thinks it is, but the fact that he can't get her to say it is so frustrating to him. So that's always what it was for Soma. Like, he always just thought of her as the god's tongue, and that this person who's really good at cooking, and he wants to beat them. And even here with, Asahi saying, I'm going to marry Erina, and, I'm the only one who could please her. And even then, he was just like, if it's her tongue you're after, well, get in line, buddy. That line will always just be so funny to me. So, yeah, he's like, Nakiri is fine, but he's talking, in that case, about her wanting to impress her. But now, because he's being faced with potentially losing Erina in general, what do you mean? He's so, like, taken aback by that. Like, what is he talking about that she's going to go away? Well, where's she going? Why is she going to go away? And how do I feel? Like, that's we get to see some of Soma's thoughts, which is not a thing we often see. Again, that Megumi is the narrator. So, we often just kind of don't get insight into what Soma himself is thinking. We just usually just see it happening, and then we find out, oh, this is what he's been planning all along. Like, even when he's, going through challenges with cooking, we kind of see what he was thinking in a reveal afterwards of, oh, he's doing this now. This time, we actually get his thoughts, and we get him, like, remembering that what Asahi said, and, like, oh crap, like, where is Erina? Like, I haven't seen her today. Let me go look for her. Like, I'm just going to take a walk and, drop by and see what she's doing. It's just because he was worried. And that's so satisfying. Like, it wasn't about, oh, I have to go bring her another dish to taste. No, it wasn't, oh, I have to go challenge her to, a cooking competition. It was just, oh no, like, what if she's not there anymore? Like, is she okay? Like, what did he mean by that? Like, what, is she not going to be there? Like, is she gone? What's happening? Like, and I love that. Like, he was genuinely worried, like, oh no. And what would he do if Erina wasn't there? It's good, because it's putting him in a position to think of Erina as a person, and not as this gimmick of a food taster. So, yeah, so we do have him, like, I do like that Asahi did that, because I feel like that's great. Also, so yeah, he goes to look for her. I'm looking at the manga right now. So yeah, speaking of Suzuki Sensei, since he came back to the hotel, I haven't seen Akiri around. Very soon, Akiri will leave you. And yeah, he goes, I guess I'll drop by during my walk. And so he just kind of casually, though in my opinion not so casually, going to look for her. And he sits there, he's like, oh, and he's smiling. She's still here, all right. And he's happy that she's still there. And then, oh, this moment was everything. Soma is taken aback, and he's not blushy, all right. He's not blushing, but the face he's making, and the shoujo bubbles in the background of Erina's panels. That's Soma's point of view. So the shoujo bubbles kind of say it all. That is, he is entranced by her in that moment, and he's like, had a revelation, like, oh crap, and he actually says it. He's like, you're prettier when you're smiling, and I think in the Japanese he says she's beautiful. So every pretty beautiful thing. So, but yeah, like, his flat out, like, very matter of fact way of saying what he was thinking. But it was also funny because Erina, which turns around with the shoujo bubbles in the background, and she notices him. In his face, when he gets noticed, his eyes dilate, his pupils, and he's like, oh shit, I was caught looking at her. It's really funny, like, oops, I was caught. That moment was fun, because again, you don't really see Soma, like, caught off guard or taken aback. He has been quite a few times by Erina actually mostly because, oh, in the past it's been about, oh, wow, she is actually really good, like, at food. Like, she has so much knowledge. Like, one of the ones that I remember was, um, obviously, Erina tasting his beef stew, and, or before she tasted it, he was explaining to her what was in it, and she's like, miso, right? And he was like shocked because she hadn't even tasted it yet, and she's like, please don't belittle me. Like, obviously that's what's in here. And he was just, he shut up, and like, she's like, I could tell that much without tasting it. He was just shocked that she even figured that out without anything. Like, that was like really impressive to him. And the other time that I remember him being surprised by her, actually, ooh, this was going even farther back than that. Another time was when he realized that she finished his what was it? Um, it was in the Hell Camp arc where she finished her challenge before him, and she got to the hot springs before him, and he thought he was going to be, the first one, and then he realized, oh my God, she finished before me, and that was another moment of, oh crap, she's really good. And then the third time was, there might have been more, but these are the ones I remember. The third time was Erina being, what was it? Oh yeah, when she got mad at him, when they were gonna go into the whole Azami thing, and like their exams, and Soma wasn't taking it seriously. Like, she was tutoring everybody, and he was just looking on the side. I mean, he was very much happy looking at Irina, being, having gotten her energy and her spirit back. I loved those chapters and those panels because he was totally looking at her again, and it was so nice. Like, that was the first time that you saw someone like smiling and observing Irina. It's great. It's such a nice feeling. So yeah, but he was off to the side. He wasn't involved. And Anita's like, "What are you doing? Like, get in here. Like, you have to hear this too." And then afterwards, she's like, "Why are you, you need to take this seriously. Like, stop joking around. Like, I want, because he was joking that she didn't, it's so funny for her to want him to pass now that, she used to want him to fail. She was waiting for him to get expelled, and now you're like, it's so different hearing this from you, Nakiri. And she's like, can you stop? Like, do you think I really want anybody, where I am now, and after everything everyone's done, do you really think I want anyone to fail? In other words, and she's like, I want us, to become second years together. And he was taken aback because she kind of cut through his bullshit, because he does blow a lot of things off. And he does brush a lot of things off and laugh things off. And she just was like, stop. Like, you have to take this seriously. And he was just kind of like, whoa. And I love that. I really like that a lot. And this is kind of what their relationship is. And it's so enjoyable because they're so equal, in fact. And not just equal. Erina is better than Soma currently at her level. Like, she just is. She's a better cook, and he knows it, and that's why she's headmistress. And he wanted her to be higher than him because he knows she's better. And that is, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong. I haven't read that much shonen, but when is it that the heroine is more, it has a higher power level than the hero? Like, where does that happen? Like, I feel like it doesn't happen a lot. Okay, it just doesn't. It's just not, that's not what shonen is. Like, the hero is always better. So, so I think, and not only that, Erina was the one who rescued herself. That's another thing I want to talk about. People who are complaining that, oh my god, this is another Rescue Erina arc. No, it isn't, because there's never been a Rescue Erina arc. Yeah, she was for a time during like the whole Azami stuff, she needed help, and she went to the Polar Star dorm, and she escaped there, and she was kind of like, depressed and lost. But she was never saved. Like, Soma didn't save her. Remember, he was asked to save her. he didn't. She saved herself. And I said she would. She had to, because this was something she had to do for herself. She had to overcome her dad on her own. I mean, she did it with help, but ultimately she was the hero of that arc. She saved everyone. She saved herself, and she was the one who led them to victory. So she never had a rescue Erina arc. This is the first rescue Erina arc, potentially. So I have no problem with there being a rescue Erina arc because she's such a strong character. It's not like she's always the damsel in distress. She's not. She's never been really a damsel in distress. She saved herself. She saved other people. She was the hero. So it's okay if there's balance. Like, I can deal with her being saved, which she probably will need to be saved because that's what they kind of are building up to here. Because she's never been saved before. Soma never saved her. He helped her, but he didn't save her. She did it on her own. So that's why I'm okay, because there's balance there. My opinion. So yeah, if this is a rescue Erina arc, it's the first one. And but yeah, so where was I? So Soma sees Erina, and I love that she's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "What am I doing here again?" And she thinks it's funny, because it is funny. Like, Soma, not only was he kind of caught off guard, like, with, like, oh, she's pretty. Why have I not noticed that before? Like, she's really pretty. Like, not only did we get that moment of seeing her with the shoujo bubbles, and even in the panel where she's laughing, again, there's shoujo bubbles, and Soma again looking at her, and she thinks it's funny. She's like, "Did you forget?" Like, what? Like, I think it's funny that he kind of trips over himself, like, he's just so, like, lost for words, and that he just doesn't even know what to say. Soma isn't that kind of, like, we never get that kind of stuff from Soma. Not that he's not that kind of character, it's just that we've never seen him being put in a position where he would be, like, I don't know, just taken, aback and off guard and caught off guard and just not realizing, like, that, not knowing what to say. Soma always knows what to say, It's just so, it's cute, because it's like, he's having feelings. So I just thought it was really adorable that he just was lost for words there. And, but then he wasn't. And then he goes, when you're smiling, you're way prettier. And I like the way this whole conversation went. I don't think any of it was out of character. And the reason it's not out of character is because Soma, yeah, he was looking at Erina, yeah, he noticed Erina, yeah, there was the shoujo bubbles, but he wasn't blushy. It's not like all of a sudden he's in love with Erina. It's just that he's noticing her finally as something more than just a god's tongue. He's noticing her as a girl. And that's fabulous. And the reason this is a tricky situation is because of the kind of characters Soma and Erina are. They're both very similar, actually, because they're both very kind of oblivious and naive when it comes to love. And so it's hard to now introduce love to them without going wildly out of character. And I very much think the author managed to actually not do that. Like, he didn't go out of character. The way this conversation went with Erina getting blushy and then kind of angry and embarrassed, like, first Yoshida-san and now you, Yukihira-kun. And then he's like, Soma's back to his old self. Like, he's just like, oh, this, trolly, smiley faces. Like, but I basically only ever see you when you're peeved. And she's like, what's going on? Even you've started saying sappy lines. And I think in the Japanese, he actually said romantic. She said romantic. Like, you're saying romantic lines. Like, and she's like, we have to focus on our studies and our cooking. This isn't the time for, like, again, I think she said romance. In the actual raw Japanese, like, this isn't time for affairs and the like. And someone's like, yeah, you tell him. But what's funny is the way afterwards where he goes, besides, none of that matters if I can't first clear this exam. So they're both kind of, it's like they're both considering the romance there. Like, Erina didn't, she's basically said Soma said something romantic to her, and it was. Him saying that she looks pretty when she smiles is amazing. And the way he said it was very Soma. Like, it was just matter-of-factly like, oh wow, you're pretty. And it just felt very natural. And Erina's reaction to it was also very natural. It's not like, oh my god, she fell in love with him because he said something like that. No, it was her being like, oh, stop, this isn't time for romance. What are you doing? We have to concentrate on our studies. And it just felt so, like, I've never read a ship like this, like a relationship like this before. It's so interesting to me, because where do you have two characters that are so oblivious, and yet the way that they reacted to each other felt so in character, and but also felt natural that this could go into romance, because neither of them denied it was romantic. If anything, they both kind of admitted it was. Like, Soma's like, you're pretty, and Erina's like, that's, you know, you're saying romantic things, and we can't focus on that right now. We have to, you know, we have work as students to do. It was so, like, I thought that was perfect. Like, wow, how did you do that, author? You know, Takuda, how'd you do that? That's amazing. Like, I thought, you know, you could just have completely destroyed their characters in that moment by making them not feel like themselves, and they totally still feel like themselves. So I thought that was really good. That was, struck a very nice balance there. And I also like that Soma's actually feeling kind of down because of the way that things are going with the exam at the moment. And Erina showed faith in him. She's like, she goes, you'll overcome this. She's like, I think you'll be fine. You'll overcome this too, as you always have. And then Soma kind of gains heart, you know, takes heart from that. And he goes back into his, like, cocky smile again. He's like, yeah, I totally will. And then I'm going to challenge you. And then again, this is so in character. And she's like, that's fine by me. You know, come, you know, stop by anytime if you want to taste defeat. You know, it's so cute. You know, it's great. It's perfect. Because that's what they are, you know, like that's what I said. That's why they make so much sense as a relationship, because they push each other forward because they're competitive. Just because if they get romantic doesn't mean they lose that competitive rivalry. You know, they better each other by being that way. But there's also romance there. There's also an attraction there, and I think it's great. I love this relationship. I love that they're both such strong characters. So, and yeah, but he's like, oh, you know, you become head mistress, but you're still the same as ever. He's still teasing her. And she's like, well, of course I am, silly. And she smiles, and it's such a cute, blushy smile, and it's just like, she's enjoying her time talking to Soma, and Soma's enjoying his time talking to Erina. It's just such a, like, really heartfelt, like, just fluffy moment. It's really nice and just so comfy, and this is the stuff I've been waiting for. This is the character interactions and development that I wanted for so long, and that is why I'm really not disliking this arc, because I felt like this is long overdue. You know, people are like, oh, I wanted to see more, you know, food related things, and that's fine. Like, I agree, maybe we should have had, you know, they should have focused more on the actual exam rather than completely go past it. But I don't think Shokugeki's ever been at a loss for food battles. You know what I mean? Of food challenges. Like, I feel like we've had, if anything, too many of them over the course of the series, and not enough of this. Okay, so I'm not upset. Like, that was one of the reasons I wanted to drop this series, and the only reason I didn't is because I was holding out hope that we would get something like this eventually. And so, I mean, because to me, yes, it's a food series, it's a food battle shonen, but we had always too many battles and not enough character development and not enough comfy slice of life moments, and especially with the way the series started out with them saying the whole find a woman to cook for thing. So finally we're getting into the meat of that, and I am very happy. And not only that, you know they're going to go back to the food battles, because the way this freaking chapter ended. So anyway, I'll get to that in a second. But back to the nice things. So then you have this part with Soma being worried still. The whole him asking her, by the way, are you planning on going somewhere far away anytime soon, Nekiri? She's like, huh? What are you talking about? And he's like, well, to be honest, I don't know. As long as you aren't, don't worry about it. And she's like, okay. And I don't know, I feel like this translation is weird. Let's just keep on keeping on, okay? And he's smiling at her, fist pump thing. And I feel like that's probably not exactly what he said. I don't know what he actually said there, but I like that he's basically checking to see if she is actually going away. And this is important for two reasons. The first reason it's important is because, again, it's showing Soma's care for Erina as a person and him not wanting her to leave. It shows that he really does, there's something else there, because he's never shown concern about her in that way before. You're seeing how their relationship, how they've gone closer, and how she's become important to him. And so it was really, again, heartwarming. It was nice that he was just like, don't go away, basically. As long as you're not going anywhere, that's cool. Don't leave. So he just wants her there. It's really sweet. The other reason this is important is because, obviously, at the end of this, she does go somewhere. So, yeah, we see that he leaves, and, he's waving happily, and it was just a really cute conversation, and, so many feels. So, but Erina gets abducted. She, again, the author was like, oh, did I fake you out in the beginning? Ha ha ha, but no, she actually is getting kidnapped. Oops. And it's like, because I didn't even I didn't want things to get dramatic like this again. The stuff with Erina and her dad going the way it did, and that it was actual child abuse, and it got so ridiculously over the top. I didn't need that, and I certainly don't need it here. So it's like, because I like I said, I sympathize with people who are like, this isn't the series I started reading. And you're right, it's not. The tone of it has shifted dramatically to overly dramatic stuff. So, him kidnapping, Asahi kidnapping, Asahi and his crew of Colonel Sanders and whoever else these other people are, kidnapping Erina. She's tied up in a chair. I'm like, why are you doing this? I don't like it. I don't like it. Not because it's a save Erina thing, but because it's just silly. It's just like, why can't they just call the police on these people? They're not gonna. So that this is gonna be solved. Again, that's why I said people who are concerned that, oh, where's my food stuff? You're gonna get it here. That's what these people are for. You're gonna have to fight. They're gonna have to fight them. And they're obviously the heroes are gonna win. And it's just funny. It's just really, really funny. So you're gonna get your food battles. There's never a question. We just had a Shokugeki with Soma and Asahi not that many chapters ago. So it's like we just there's so many battles. Not every chapter can be a battle. It's okay if there's a few chapters that aren't food competitions. Okay, just chill out. You need to develop your characters and their relationships, and that's why Soma is still stuck this way. Okay, why he's still stuck as a character who hasn't really grown from what he was in the beginning, because you don't get these kinds of chapters. You need this. You need it bad. So stop, don't begrudge this turn of events of romance, because your main character freaking needs this. So yeah, that's me. That's my feeling. Soma needs it. Erina makes him grow as a character, and you need it to happen, because otherwise he's just gonna be stuck in the same freaking stage that he's always been in. He'll grow as a chef, but he's not gonna grow as a person. You know what I mean? He needs to grow as a person and as a chef. So you're gonna get your food battles. It's coming. You're gonna get your, I don't know what, what these people specialize in. It would be funny if the Colonel Sanders looking guy specializes in fried chicken. I don't know what he's supposed to be. Southern cooking. I don't know. But yeah, that part I didn't like. I didn't like Erina being tied up in a chair and being literally abducted. I think that's funny. But I do think that Soma going to check on Erina, seeing that she was there and that she's okay, and asking her if she was planning on going anywhere, um, and having her confirm she wasn't, um, it's important because he's the last person who saw her. And also, what was important was her conversation with Hisako, because she said she was going to go to visit her, I think. Hold on, let me go back to that page. Uh, okay, yes, so she goes, after all, I'll be heading over to the mountain course tomorrow to check on things, and that's where Hisako is. She's on a different course in these exams, so she's going to go check on her and that area and see how everything's going, or she was supposed to. Now she's not. Okay, so these things are very important. What she said to Hisako and what just happened with Soma, and what Asahi said to Soma. Because Hisako is going to be the one to notice that Erina is gone, right? Because she's not going to turn up where she said she was going to be. And she's going to freak out. And she's going to be like, where is she? Like, what happened? And she's going to probably call Erina. And Erina's not going to pick up. And she's going to probably call Soma and be like, have you seen Erina-sama? Like, where is she? What happened to her? She was supposed to come. Do you know where she is? And then the Asahi thing is going to come up into Soma's head, and he's probably going to look for her, and he's not going to find her. And he had confirmation from her she wasn't planning on going anywhere, so where is she? And he's going to know Asahi did something, because he's the one who said that very mysterious, very threatening thing about her leaving him. And that's going to result in Soma trying to find her. So, yeah. I don't know how dramatic it's gonna get, because already it's dramatic. Like, I was cool with the love triangle thing. I was not cool with Asahi beating Joe. I'm still not cool with that. I still think that was a mistake, in my opinion. But other than the, carrying into the over dramaticness that they had in the Azami arc and beating of Joe, I honestly don't have any other problems with this arc at all. Like I said, the romance had to happen, and it's happening for the ship that I like, so I love it. I thought that the way that the author is introducing Soma finally to romance and making him notice Erina, I think it was done very well. It was done very well because he didn't go out of character for Erina or Soma, and yet still kept the romance in play. Like, they both basically admitted that was romantic. Like, they can't focus on romance right now. They have to think about their studies. But they didn't say that, they didn't shut it down. It was just kind of, again, put on, the back burner. It was like, oh, romance, right, but we can't think about that right now. And someone's like, yeah. And it's like, but it's there. It's on the table. They both put it on the table. Erina and Soma in that moment put romance on the table between them. That's amazing. That and it was done in a way that didn't throw them out of character. That's wonderful. But it is almost like two different people writing the story, because you have that done so well. Like, to me, the Soma and Erina development has actually been really good. It's the stuff surrounding it, the over-dramatic stuff, the Azami stuff, the Asahi kidnapping Erina stuff, that isn't good. Alright, that's a shame. It's like, why can't we have... It makes me feel like, why does it need to be that dramatic to have the moments like this? But I guess it had to, because then how would you push Soma into going to look for Erina in the first place? Why would you get Soma worrying about Erina in the first place? I mean, I'm sure there are ways it could have been done, but you also have to think this is, again, a shonen battle series with food. So they have to have food battles. So it's like, I get it. There is logic there. It's a shame because it kind of deviated from what if the tone of the series at the beginning. That's all. That's the issue. That's really the main issue. But the romance is not out of place. The romance needed to be here. It needed to happen. It's always been there. It's just been below the surface, and now it's finally rising to the surface, and it needed to. So yeah, I'm really excited by the developments here. I do think that it is being built up for someone to come save Erina. I don't know. I guess they're gonna have to fight for her. I don't know. I feel it's just weird because oh, and another thing I wanted to talk about was obviously why did Asahi do this in the first place? Because he said he was gonna woo her, and he was wooing her, and it wasn't really working. That was the thing I wanted to talk about. Okay, so I think he took these measures because he realized that Erina liked Soma. Like he saw that she was looking at him, like she was paying attention to him when he like stormed, like he left the room in the previous chapters, where he was like, well, if I have to, I have to get Erina to say my food. I have to get Nakiri to say, admit my food is delicious, then I can challenge you again, because he wants to get his dad's knife back. So he saw in that moment, like that Erina was paying attention to Soma. She wasn't paying attention to him, and he realized that he was fighting a losing battle. And I think that's why he went to these extreme measures. He saw he wasn't really getting anywhere with Erina. Like she was flattered and flustered, but that was pretty much it. She wasn't really interested, and her interest lay elsewhere, even if she doesn't realize it yet herself. But everyone else, well, other people see it. Megumi sees it, and Asahi sees it. So basically, our narrator and our villain see it. So yeah, I think that's why he went to these measures. He took these measures because he's like, well, my wooing isn't going to get me anywhere because she's not interested in me. So I'm going to have to go to the extreme and just take her. What he's going to do with her, I don't know. He has her tied up. That's silly. I wish that didn't happen. I was hoping it would be literally he was going to take her away. So, but alas, what am I, it is what it is. And like I said, I do think Megumi's going to come back into things in the next chapter. She's our narrator, and she did realize that Erina liked Soma, and what that's going to do with her and her feelings, I don't know, because the author knows that he needs to keep those people interested, the ones that like Megumi and Soma, and I think he's gonna jerk us around still. I don't feel like oh, we're never gonna get any Megumi and Soma stuff. Now it's gonna be only Soma and Erina. I don't feel that way at all. I feel like we're still gonna get jerked around, and we're still gonna get Megumi and Soma from Megumi's side, and I don't know, maybe from Soma's side. I feel like if the author does that though, he's gonna dig himself a deeper hole because you're gonna make people angry again on both sides eventually. So it's like you're putting yourself in a lose-lose situation, which is not good. My opinion, but right now I still think, again, I think it's obvious that it's gonna be Soma and Erina, and this made it even more obvious, and I'm happy that we're finally getting Soma's side because I thought we had no chance in hell of that happening at all. I was like, he's just going to be concerned with getting his dad's knife back, and that's all this is. And we're not going to get Soma's side until the very end, because it's shonen. But this is wonderful. So, yeah, I'm happy. And nothing can ruin my happiness, not even some of the silly things that I don't like about this arc. So, because the good outweighs the bad. My opinion. Basically, my thought process about this current chapter and the reactions to just where the story is right now from the fans is that I think the reason I think it's so funny is because there's a lot of different reasons why people are feeling less than thrilled, to say the least, about the current storyline, at least online, at least from the Western fans, from what I saw. And I think it's ridiculous for a lot of reasons. Like, I know there is genuine and logical and justified criticism of, well, reasons why you shouldn't like the current story, why people don't like the current story. But I also think a lot of the reasoning is really ridiculous because, you know, well, I'm gonna categorize the different kinds of fans and their reasoning for why they don't like the current storyline. So I think there's like maybe two or three different categories. There's the people who don't like the storyline because this was a shonen. This is a shonen, and they feel like their shonen has gone shoujo, and they are not happy about that. And honestly, to those people, I say too bad because they should have known what they were getting into from the very beginning when they started the series. Because obviously, you have in the very first chapter, Soma's dad Joichiro trying to tell his son that his advice of to become a better chef, you need to find a woman who you want to give all your cooking to. That and boom, Erina appeared right then and there. So it's like, it was obvious that this had to happen eventually. You had to start getting into the romance aspect, and it's always kind of been there on the surface. It's just, it was on the back burner. Yay, cooking puns. It was on the back burner. Very much so. Throughout most of the series. So you barely touched on any romance. It was always kind of teased, as far as the girls and their kind of affection towards usually Soma. You got, the girl from his hometown, you got Nikumi, you got Megumi, and you kind of have, Erina as well. They had that special chapter of Erina not knowing the taste of love, and you had even romance from other characters. You have well, Alice and Ryo, I wouldn't say, I mean, they kind of have a romance going on as far as I think it was in a light novel or something where Alice's mom wants guys to kind of compete for her hand in marriage or something, and Alice didn't like this at all, so she had Ryo compete too, and he won. So basically, he's engaged to her, is the thing. But it wasn't in the main series. It's always been kind of on the side. It's kind of been under the the main storyline. It's just kind of below the surface. And so people just got comfortable like that, and they don't like that the romance has been amped up. And again, I say too bad, because it needed to come in at some point. If even if it had come in at the very end, people would be because people are calling bullshit now. Oh, Soma all of a sudden, having, noticing Erina, and finally his hormones are kicking in, or Soma, or why is it just all of a sudden there's a love triangle, this is a straight up shoujo plot, and the author knows that. He teased that that's exactly what it is, and that's it. If you had had the romance shoved in only at the very end, people would be saying that's crap. They wouldn't believe it then. He's just trying to put it in so that he can freaking finally develop it in before the end, because it doesn't make sense to shove it in at the very end. People would hate that too. So it doesn't matter when it came in. People would still hate it for one reason or another. So it doesn't matter that, oh my god, it's happening now. I think it's better to happen now. I think it's better that he develop it earlier than waiting to the conclusion, because that's also an asshole, if you will. If you just, you don't have any basis or a foundation of it. He's building a foundation, and I think after almost 300 chapters, it's about freaking time, I don't think that there's anything wrong with putting romance in. In fact, I've been waiting for it for ages, so I am very happy, to say the least. I am thrilled that there's finally a focus on romance. Okay, so again, if you don't like it, too bad. It was there in the beginning. You were warned from the start that there's going to be some romance, okay, and that it's going to play a very big part, because if the, you know, the way to get better at cooking is to find somebody you care about to give your cooking to, that was always going to come up eventually. It's like it was ignored long enough and it's finally showing up. Maybe you don't like the way it's being done, and I can see that. Again, it is heavy-handed, it is cliche, but it's cliche for a reason. You know, like, oh, there's a love triangle. That's just standard. That's like so typical. That's such a typical plot. People were getting mad at the love triangle, and it's like, yeah, it's not original, but there's a reason it's not. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason things are cliche because they work. Um, so I don't have any. At the end of the day, I don't really have a problem with it. I feel like the whole love triangle to push, you know, Erina and Soma's feelings to the surface is just, you know, being used because it works. You know, cliches work. So, you know, like, it'd be nice. It's already been so subtle. Like, he says, oh, well, you know, it'd be nice if it was subtler, people say, or, you know, like the slow burn. What happened to the slow burn? It was too slow of a burn. Even the author obviously thought so. So he just wanted to get this done. All right. He wanted to put the pieces in place, things in motion, finally. And I think that's fine. I think that's needed. I think it's necessary, and I have nothing against that because it needed to happen eventually. And if it was shoved in at the end, like I said, people would get mad at that too. So it doesn't matter. All right. I don't care if people are mad at it. I'm not mad at it. I love it. And I think also people have to remember the Western fans, not that their opinions don't matter, but a lot of the people who end up on message boards or posting on, you know, Tumblr or wherever and are vocal, they're a vocal minority, usually. They're not the majority. And even then, even if we were, our opinions don't matter. It's what the Eastern fans, it's what the Japanese think that matter. And if the Japanese like it, then they're the ones who are supporting. They're the ones who are buying. They're the ones who are, you know, deciding if the manga is a success or not by buying the volumes. A lot of people who comment online are leeching off the series and the author. They're not supporting the manga. They don't buy merch. They don't buy manga. I'm not saying all of them. I'm not definitely not saying all of them. I have manga. I have merch, you know, but a lot of them do. A lot of people who complain don't support the manga. So your opinion ultimately is just that. It's just an opinion. So if you don't like it, it doesn't really affect the author that much. Like, you aren't contributing to the success or not success of their manga because you're not supporting it. So it doesn't matter. And you never supported it, you know, properly. So it's just really what the Japanese, for the most part, think. And if they like it, which they might, I don't know, then it's your opinion is moot. So, and me too, my opinion is moot. I'm a Western fan, so I don't have that much of an impact, if any at all, on what the storyline is, and, you know, and my opinion, whether I like it or dislike it, doesn't affect anything. So, obviously, the author would prefer that it be universally liked, but when does that happen? So yeah, people who are complaining about this because they don't like the romance in the shonen, too bad. Because it's always been there. It's always was promised that it was going to be in here and be more developed. And actually, you know, the fact that it took this long is, you know, the real thing to complain about. Because it should have been peppered more blatantly through the manga considering how it started. That's why I was upset. Like, I've been upset this whole time because I'm like, it started out with him saying you have to find a woman you want to cook for, and we've gotten hardly any romance. Like, even for shonen, like, it had hardly any romance. Like, at most it had, like, oh, a couple girls falling for Soma, but... And finally we did get some more, because Ishiki and Nene from the last arc, that was pretty romantic. That was, like, the most blatantly romantic thing we've had up until that point. Like, to me, that was pretty romantic. So I was glad, and now we're having even more blatantly romantic stuff, and I couldn't be happier about it. I'm very glad with where the series is going, because I know it's shonen, but there still can be romance in your shonen. There's nothing wrong with that. So anyway, There are those people who are mad because of that reason. Then there are people who are mad because while they wanted romance, it's not the romance that they wanted. This is not the ship they support, therefore everything about this is bad. I have no doubt that there are plenty of people who wanted Soma and Megumi together who would have been thrilled if Megumi was the one in this position right now and not Erina. No doubts in my mind, none at all, because when this character Asahi showed up in the beginning and it was just Soma and Megumi interacting with him at the very beginning, people seemed totally fine. Like, he was pulling at her hands and like giving Soma this advice about, finally letting him hear that you have to find a woman to cook for. If it had played out that Megumi was the girl that Soma is noticing, and if she was the one caught in the shoujo love triangle, they would be ecstatic. Alright, they would. Same way that if it was Megumi for me right now, I would be absolutely hating it, because it'd be like, no, I don't want this. I don't want it to be Megumi, because I don't like that ship. Right? So I wouldn't be happy with it. I'd be one of the salty people going, oh my god. Well, actually, I wouldn't say anything, because if I don't like something, I don't talk about it, for the most part. I don't, because I don't want to shit on other people's enjoyment. Like, if I don't like something going on in the manga or the anime, I don't sit there bitching about it, because like other people like it. So why am I going to try and rain on their parade if I'm unhappy? I'm not going to drag everyone else down with me. In fact, I only complain about the things I like. Like if there was stuff going on with Erina and Soma right now that I really, really didn't like, or I was unhappy with the direction things were going, I would be complaining about that. But I would not try and tear down somebody else's ship just because it's happening, and just because it's happening. I wouldn't. I would just be salty on my own, and but a lot of people need to vent, and I get it. But I feel like those people who are venting right now and hating this are only hating it because it's Erina and not Megumi that is in the position that they wish their character was in. That's my opinion. And it's understandable. I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense. Like I said, I'd be the same way if it was Megumi and not Erina. But I also feel, again, and I've been saying this I've been reading this since the 30th chapter. It was in its first year of being a manga, and that's when I started reading it. It was way before the anime happened. So I feel like it was obvious from the beginning that it would be Erina, who's the ultimate girl that, Soma ends up with. So it's kind of like a lot of people came into the series as anime only. And it's funny because I see a lot of people online going, oh my god, there's so many, this is only happening because Erina's popular. No, puppies. Because Erina didn't used to, at least not with the Western fans, she was always, and that's another thing, it still goes against it, Erina was always popular in the East, with the Japanese, always. She was super popular even when she was an antagonist. She was always in the top, like, I think she was always second to Soma. I think she was at least always in the top 3, and she was always more popular than Megumi with the Japanese fans. I don't know if Soma and Erina, as far as couples go, was more popular than Soma and Megumi, but certainly Erina as a character was always more popular than Megumi, and always super popular, to the point that she won the last the last popularity contest that the magazine that runs Shokugeki had. Erina was the first character. She got the top spot, and in the other ones she was number 2, and almost number 1. Like Soma, I think it was Soma in the previous one. It was Soma, Erina, Takumi, and then Megumi, and in the one before that, I think it was Soma, Erina, Megumi, and in the last one, it was Erina, Hisako, Alice, Soma, Megumi. Which I think is also the reason why we're seeing so little of Hisako right now, and Alice, by the way, is because the author was like, oh shit, I don't want, but they're not, no, popular. Soma's falling behind. I have to like show these girls a lot less because you guys are liking them too much. I really think that that's like Erina, okay, but Soma, no, you can't. How dare you put them ahead of Soma? So I think that's a big reason why we're seeing so much less of Hisako and Alice, which is a shame because both of their characters are really fun, in different, very different ways. But I mean, the fact that two of the people who were attached to Erina, it wasn't just Erina winning the popularity contest, it was Erina plus the two people she's closest to winning the popularity contest over the main character and the second heroine. It was like, oh wow. So no, she is super popular and she's always been super popular, so it has nothing to do with Erina suddenly being popular because she's always been popular in Japan, where it counts. And as far as the West goes, no, she was not popular, and she didn't suddenly get popular. I mean, she did suddenly get popular, but that's not why she's, being put with Soma. It's because that's just been how the setup's been since forever. Okay, that's not a recent thing because she's popular in the West. She's always been popular in Japan, so it's nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that that's just what the setup was. The plan's always been this. It's always made the most sense for Soma's character to be paired with Erina because that's what's going to push his cooking, which is ultimately what the series is about. Push his cooking and his abilities as a chef forward because he's trying to impress her, and she's a food taster at the end of the day. That's basically what she's relegated to. Like, yeah, she's a chef, but she's ultimately food tasting is her thing. So pairing the wannabe best, wannabe chef, wannabe professional chef with a food taster always made the most sense. It just did. So, but yeah, as far as, Erina's popular, Erina didn't used to be popular in the West at all. Very true. Okay, that is for sure the truth. I remember when I first started following the series, there was like hardly anything like online about anything positive online about Erina. Nobody liked Erina. People hated her, in fact. And people only shipped, and when the anime started, people basically just shipped Soma and Megumi. Like, I'm most active on Tumblr, so there was no Soma and Erina stuff. Like, practically nothing. I was like literally one of the only blogs that posted about Soma and Erina and liked them. And there was like no fan base for Soma and Erina. People just love Soma and Megumi because that's what you get a lot of in the beginning of the series is Soma and Megumi. Soma and Megumi, Soma and Megumi. They were just always, Megumi was always there. So that's what people shipped. And Erina was barely shown, and she was, even though she's the heroine, she's one of the heroines, and she was put, again, on the back burner. She was barely given any panel or screen time, and so understandably she wasn't popular in the West. She was an antagonist, so people like Megumi and Soma. And only recently, maybe within the last 2 years, maybe, Erina's popularity in the West exploded, and Soma Erina popularity in the West exploded. Like, I was shocked that the majority of people seemed to be now pro Soma and Erina rather than Soma and Megumi. I'm like, wow, I no longer feel so alone. This is so nice. So, it's this isn't happening though because, oh my god, like, the changes or the developments in the story aren't happening because, oh my god, now Erina's popular. No, the Erina became popular because of the changes, not the other way around. Do you know what I mean? I hope so. So yeah, Erina's always been popular in Japan. She was definitely not popular in the West, and she's only become popular in the West because she's gotten development and gotten, more panel time, and that's just how it is. That's the truth. That's what I've seen. So no, this is not happening that Megumi is being put on the back burner now, and Soma and Erina are being developed because, she's popular. No, she's popular because she got development, and because Soma and Erina are getting development finally after so many chapters of waiting. My patience has paid off. And I feel very happy. I'm going to enjoy it. No one can ruin my enjoyment of it. I will enjoy to the fullest extent. And if you don't like it, again, too bad. So, there's them. There's those people. Those people who don't like this because this isn't the ship they like. Well, Understandable, but again, too bad. So those people. And then there are the people I more so commiserate with because I have some of the I have some similar problems that they do. Because no, the storyline isn't ideal. There's a lot wrong with it. This isn't the best writing, to say the least. Here's the thing: people don't like this a lot. Some of the people who don't like this current storyline and development and are justified in their reasons. The people who are justified are the people who don't like the direction that the series has gone in because it feels different from what it started as. You have a point. You do. Because it is, they're right. It's so different. The tone of the series is different. And the reason being is the series started out, it's always been kind of silly and over the top and exaggerated, but it's always had some kind of grounding in reality. Like all the orgasmic food reactions were always in people's heads. It was always just an imaginative way of expressing how much they're enjoying the food. It was never reality, though. People weren't actually getting stripped, except for, like, jokingly, Erina's grandfather, right? He was the only one who stripped when he tasted food and liked it. That was it. There was no anything else. But with Azami, and also it was a kind of overly exaggerated, very competitive elite cooking school, but there was still some part of it that felt like it could be happening somewhere. Like this could be a reality in some part of the world where you have people basically getting expelled left, right, and center. And because there was nothing beyond that was that ridiculous about the series. It was just again always just over the top food reactions but overall it was an over competitiveness, but overall it still just felt like it could be real. Like there was some kind of grounding in reality. But once Azami came into it, it just stopped being that. It stopped being so lighthearted as well, and that was also a problem. Like before, even though there was always a threat of expulsion, it still just felt like it didn't feel. It felt like there was still realism there. All right, it wasn't beyond the scope of what might happen. But in the case of Azami, once he came into it, it became, oh, I want to dominate the food industry and I want to close down all the restaurants, and Erina's being abused as a child, and now she needs to escape from her dad, and it started becoming very over the top, beyond, with the over dramatizing of everything, it just lost what it had in the beginning that made it so charming. And I understand that completely. I agree to an extent. I feel like it lost a lot of its charm because it got too serious, took itself too seriously, in a ridiculous way, in ways that didn't even make any sense. Like Azami's plan always had so many holes in it, and his motivation always seemed ridiculous. So, and his relationship with Erina always seemed kind of ridiculous. So it's like, if that is your issue, and I know it's a lot of people's issue, you are correct. In my opinion, I agree with you. I understand your worries and your concerns and your problems with it, because this seems to kind of extend now. Like, we've not gone back. We've gone, even fallen further into overdramatic, ridiculous, over-the-top, unrealistic storytelling, which takes you farther away from the more groundedness of the beginning of the story. But it's a shonen. It never was really realistic. It's just that because of the tone of the beginning of the story, and it's now gone. But I think a lot of shonens do that. But it's now gone further from the reality. I think that's what people are taking issue with. But again, like I just said, a lot of shonens do that. They kind of have to up the stakes, and the author never said this was going to be reality. So it's like, I think what people like the series for, they feel kind of like it's not what the series used to be, and they're right, it's not. and that's intentional because as the series goes on, they have to up the stakes because they need to keep people. I guess they need to like make things more because you can't keep threatening expulsion. First of all, they never should have kept threatening expulsion. That was my problem from the very beginning of the series. You keep talking about I can't talk. You keep talking about what do you call it? Expelling students, but if you keep threatening it and it never happens, it's not interesting. And obviously, it happened in the last arc, but you knew it wasn't going to stick because then the series would be over. You lose your entire cast of characters. I think another thing that people were upset about is that the cast of characters that we have are fun, but we never really focus on them anymore. Like, it became more so about just Soma and Erina and Megumi sometimes, and you have kind of just zeroed in on those main characters and not really given your other cast time to shine. But I feel like the Polar Star Dorm never really had that much focus in the first place. Those characters, like, obviously, I feel like the characters in the ones that competed in the RDC, in the last arc, they had time to shine. Like, we got to see more Rishiki cooking, which is great. We got that whole thing with Nene and him. We got to see stuff with Kuga and obviously Takumi, and we got to learn more about Tsukasa and Rindo, and we got stuff with well, honestly, it was mostly focused on Soma, Erina, Megumi, and Takumi. Like, they became the focus, and everyone else kind of took a back seat, but they were always in the back seat. So it's like, they're not going to focus on, like, there's not going to be a whole thing about Yoshino. You know what I mean? Like, there's not going to be a chapter about her because she's just really is just kind of a funny background character. She's always been that. You know, a lot of the Polar Star Dorm was always that. So while it would be nice, it's just when you're acting like you lost something that you never had. You know what I mean? So I feel like you have a point to an extent, but at the same time, that's never been what Shokugeki no Soma was about. It's always been focused on Soma for the most part, with Megumi and Erina even was in the back. That we never saw her either. So it's like, if anything, I wish there was more Alice and Ryo and Hayama focus, that they've taken a really backseat. And again, I think Alice and Hisako, like I said, is because they got so popular. So the author's like, no, you're not going to see them now because I don't want you to see them because you like them too much. And I want you to pay attention to the main character. Stop. This is what that is, in my opinion. But I understand and I don't understand. So, because a lot of those characters were never prominent in the first place. They were kind of like, they only had, he needs to build up, he needs to focus on the development right now between Soma and Erina because that's the hook. That was the beginning. Like, Erina didn't get any focus for so many chapters, and so she, I would have been sad. Like, I was worried that she was going to be put on the back burner again because she's so strong now, because she's headmistress, and so I'm glad she's still in focus because I feel like it would have been really shitty if she had been, ignored again. That's me, and I'm glad. So if you don't like the character, obviously you're not going to be happy. And then I think there are also people who. Obviously, Megumi kind of took a back seat. It's complicated because obviously Megumi is a heroine of the story too. But she's also the narrator of the story. And that's ultimately what her place is here, I think. But it's hard to build up Soma and Erina, which needs to be built up, with Megumi in the middle. Okay, she's kind of like a third wheel. And I actually got a question about this on Tumblr, which I was in the process of answering, and I am going to answer it. But they made a very good point. A person sent me a message saying, now that Megumi realizes that Erina likes Soma, Erina doesn't realize it, but Megumi realizes that that's her type, that that's who she probably is interested in. Would Megumi really pursue Soma? Well, she would pursue Soma anyway, because that's not just how Megumi is. Like, so even if she has feelings for Soma, wouldn't she be more likely to put her feelings aside if she sees her friend likes the guy that she likes? And holy crap, I didn't think about that. But yeah, she would probably. Which, I mean, that sucks for, again, Soma Megumi fans, but I feel like the person who left me that message is very right. She probably would. I don't see Megumi pursuing Soma anyway, because that's not in character for her. But if she sees that Erina likes Soma, she's not going to go after a guy. She's going to basically swallow her feelings, which isn't nice. And that's the other thing. That's the other thing I think the author should have done. I think it was kind of mean. If he really is going the Soma and Erina route, which does seem like he is, he kind of gave the Megumi fans an arc, a little mini arc with the hot springs thing after the whole RGC situation was over with, to kind of give Megumi fans some fan service and put her in the spotlight again, and but also, and in my opinion, more importantly, to show why to show that her place in the Elite 10 is worthy and justified, like to show how much she's grown, and like to show that she belongs there, and to show that she's more confident now and she is grown as a chef, and that was really the point of what that hot springs thing was, to also introduce us to obviously the chefs, the midnight chefs, which is still ridiculous to me. But he didn't just do that. He made Megumi have that dream with Bishi Soma, which kind of again brought the whole Megumi's feelings to the surface again, like back to remind us, oh yeah, Megumi probably likes Soma too. And that's not nice, because then you went into this whole thing with not just Erina being stuck in a love triangle between Soma and Asahi, but also that you now have Soma noticing Erina on top of everything else, which I didn't think was going to happen. In fact, I said so. I'm shocked that happened. I'm like, oh, this is just going to be about Erina and her feelings coming to the surface and making her realize what she thinks about, what she really feels about Soma. And Soma is probably going to be just too concerned with getting his dad's knife back to care about, like, he doesn't even realize he's in a love triangle. Like, he's not seeing Erina like that. She's just there as he's thinking possessively of her in terms of God's tongue. He's not thinking of her as a woman. Now, though, he kind of is. And I will totally go into that. I'm so sorry that I'm not talking about the chapter yet at all, but I'm going to talk the shit out of this chapter in a bit. So, but yeah, I thought that was kind of mean, to kind of go, hey guys, Megumi, yay, she's in the spotlight again, and oh look, she's having cute, comfy moments with Soma, and oh look, she's dreaming about Soma, so yeah, her feelings for Soma, it's still in play, oh no, what's gonna happen? And then to just go straight into this afterwards is not nice to do to the fans, in my opinion. I would have been devastated if it was me and I like Soma and Megumi. I would have been like, well, that's shit. Like, I would have been even saltier. So I understand the salt. If you're salty about that, I totally get it, because Megumi wasn't even in this chapter. And again, it's hard to develop Soma and Erina if you have Megumi in there, because what does she have to do with anything? But she's the narrator, and I think she's going to be back in the next chapter, because Erina's been abducted, which is, I also have problems with things. But yeah, so Megumi will be back, you don't have to worry about it, but the problem is the way everything kind of was laid out is not nice. Like, it's like he was trying to get fan service, but then you kind of gave something and then took it away really quickly and in a really, really cool way. So I didn't like that. And not only that, obviously the author doesn't care, because here he is in this very chapter the newest chapter, you have Nikumi too. Like, oh, like I don't want, the only guys I want like looking at me are the guys I'm looking at, so like she's interested in, you see her crush is still very, very much in play for Soma, and it's like, then you have followed that reminder of, well, yeah, Nikumi likes Soma, with Soma going to look for Erina, and Erina and Soma noticing Erina, and it's like, of course, I don't know anyone who ships Nikumi and Soma, so it's like, but because I see some Megumi fans going, oh, it's so mean, like, and it is, but I don't see anybody concerned with Nikumi's feelings, or at least not a lot of people concerned with Nikumi's feelings, or that girl that Soma was, back in his hometown. Like, nobody cares or thought that they had a chance of getting with Soma, so nobody cares about their feelings. But Megumi's kind of in the same boat as them. What's the difference? That's why I don't like harem hijinks. I don't like the author teasing all these girls, because you're gonna have people really mad at you. And very, like, I've seen people just being like, I'm dropping this series, I hate this author. They exist. Those comments are there, especially on Twitter. Holy crap. So, you have people being real angry. But and they are justified to an extent, because the author did tease. But I still feel like at the end of the day, it was really obvious it was going to be Erina, because this whole setup right from the beginning. Again, even the chapter 0, the story, before the story was ever an actual manga, that one shot, there were two characters, Soma, and there was Erina, and it's always been Soma and Erina. I'm not saying that he's not going to still tease. He probably will, which sucks. That he's not going to still tease Soma with other girls, and it sucks because nobody's happy when he does that. The only people who are happy are the people who ship Soma with that particular character, and they're only going to be happy momentarily until he pulls it away again. But yeah, so it's like those people I feel bad for, because I could totally see myself being in that position and feeling shitty too. So I don't think he should have done that. I think he could have given Megumi had all those nice moments with her in the hot spring, and be, having comfy moments with Soma without doing the dream. I don't think he should have done the dream. I don't think he should have played off Megumi's feelings again, and then dived right into this arc, because it's kind of cruel. So, anyway, so yeah, there were those fans who have, salty feelings, and I get it. But, that it's just, the story was always going to go in this direction. So it's like, what else did I want to talk about beyond just the chapter itself? But I think I've covered pretty much everything to do with the different fans and why they don't like these current developments. And some are justified, some are not. People who don't like it because of the romance, you're not justified. The people who don't like it because of the shipping, you're kind of justified, but you're also kind of not. And the people who don't like it because they feel like the manga isn't what it used to be, you're justified. Those are my opinions. Oh, and I forgot. The other thing is, there are people who like Soma and Erina and do like the romance, but don't like the way it's being done. Again, that's me. I'm kind of in that category. Just not completely, because I'm still enjoying it. Like, my enjoyment overrides the things I'm not enjoying. Like, the overdramatic kidnapping, the tone shift. My like for the romance, it completely overrides my dislike for those elements. But there are some people who it doesn't override it for it. Some people who wish that it wasn't done in this way. Like, they like the romance, but they don't like the storyline that is happening to push the romance forward. They feel like it's not well written. Yes, in my opinion, yes and no. Again, I feel like the scene was great. The scene on the balcony with Soma and Erina was fabulous. It was done so well. that and balanced so well considering how both their characters are. That was really tricky what he pulled off, what the author pulled off, and I feel like he did it really well. So I feel like, is it well written? Yes, to an extent, because that balcony scene was really good. Like if we keep getting stuff like that, it still feels natural. Like that. This reminds me of the slow burn they had at the beginning before the Azami stuff. Like the development, even the stuff after the Azami thing. Like I said, the way Erina reacted to Soma, putting her in that position of having to top his dish, was smart. It was done well. Um, and her reaction to like pulling at his face and being a little mad but not falling for him completely. Like she doesn't even realize that she likes him like that. And Megumi realized it, and Erina didn't. And not only that, like we had her, saying, "Oh, you know, you fool!" Like when he said his plan of like teamwork doesn't suit us. Like this suits us more of like competing. It was just there's a lot of good here. I love all of that stuff. The way Soma and Erina, the core of their relationship, the way it's being built up, in my opinion, is great. I have no problems with those things. It's the stuff surrounding it, and I guess the catalyst for it, that's the issue, right? That's the problem that some people have, and that I sympathize with, that I agree with to an extent. So, to those people, I say just hang in there. It's a long series. Things kind of fall apart eventually. It's a shame, but it happens. But I'm still in it for this stuff. Otherwise I would have dropped it a long time ago. Because like I said, I felt like it had other issues, which is there's no balance. I feel like if you're constantly having food battles, it gets dull. Like that's not what I want. Like the food is great. I like a lot of the food battles, but if it's constant, it's not enjoyable. I need the balance of what we are getting now with with the tone of the beginning of the story and those food battles and those food challenges. If we could have those mixed with this, would be great, and take away the dramatic kidnapping and child abuse and I'm going to take over the culinary world and midnight chefs thing. Like those things are the problems. Those overarching like storylines. That's the issue. That's muddying the good. And it's a shame, but my ship is sailing. It feels good. That's all I have to say. Anyway, thanks for listening and watching, and hopefully you enjoyed it, and just let's see how this arc turns out. I could be singing a different tune as things go along, but right now I'm still having a good time, and I couldn't ask for more than that. So, thanks for watching, and bye!